Boom. Another one. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video here at JK Amusements, and this time we got some news for you in the GPU market and a bit in the CPU market as well. So I thought I'd just give you guys an update on what's going on in the space. The update is things are still bad. Things are looking to get a little better, and one reason for that is we have a recent announcement from Nvidia unveiling 2 new GPUs that are coming soon, and one of those is the RTX 3070 Ti and the even better RTX 3080 Ti. That's been leaked across multiple platforms, multiple instances of it being spotted in the wild, mostly by AIB partners like MSI. It's been spotted on like some pallets overseas and been leaked online. Now we have confirmed from Nvidia that they do exist and they're actually going to be in our hands supposedly in the next couple weeks. The RTX 3080 Ti is going to be released at a price of $1199 on June 3rd, and the RTX 3070 Ti is going to be released at $599 on June 10th. These are beefier versions of the cards that they share the name of, hence the Ti moniker. Part of this has me asking, why wouldn't they just pour all the semiconductors and all the chips that they have into making more of what they already have? And that may be a question that you guys have as well. And there's one answer: money. By beefing up, so to speak, these new graphics cards and giving them to the public, they create an incentive to get them. This is a strategic business move on Nvidia's part, as to rather than pour more resources into trying to produce more 3070s and more 3080s, why not try to make more 3080 Ti's and more 3070 Ti's and get as much money as out of them as possible? Because the MSRP $1199 for the 3080 Ti and $599 for the 3070 Ti, those are the lowest prices that you're going to see for these, because you can bet that the AIB cards are going to be like approaching $2,000, if not over $2,000, without scalpers getting involved. And that doesn't bode well for people hoping to get a new graphics card, especially one of these new ones. That is the world we're living in with the current chip shortage, and we're just going to have to see where we go from here. I, for one, will be trying to get one of these since I still have not gotten an Ampere GPU yet. I do not have high hopes about that. The 3080 Ti is coming on June 3rd for $1,199, and the 3070 Ti is coming June 10th for $599. AnandTech has released a pretty great spec comparison for most of the upper end GPUs on the Ampere side, and it looks like the 3080 Ti is mainly a 3090 that's been cut down a bit. I've heard reports of people saying that the 3080 Ti is only about 5% slower than the 3090, so it's really closer to, in relation to, a 3090 than a 3080. It's really more like a 3090 in terms of that. And you can see it's got the same amount of memory bus width, it's got nearly the same memory clock, it's got more ROPs, and it's got way more CUDA cores than the 3080, which should already be a sign to tell you that it is more like a 3090. The only difference where you see a really big difference between the 3080 Ti and the 3090 is the VRAM. You can see that it only has half the VRAM, and I don't really know the reason for that. I assume because they just want to sell as many 3090s as possible, and that extra VRAM is really the only thing that has going for it. If it had significantly more VRAM, like 20 gigs instead of the 12 that we see here, that would be less of a reason to buy a 3090. So that's mainly the only reason people are going for 3090s, is that massive amount of VRAM, and just that it is the fastest card out there. And as you can see, it uses the same amount of power and based on the same GA102 process as well. And the 3070 Ti is actually looking a lot more like the 3070. It's got virtually pretty much the same specs across the board, except it's got more teraflops, it's got more tensor performance, it's got more tensor cores. It does have a much higher memory clock, and it has a higher boost clock as well, but it has the same amount of ROPs, it has the same amount of VRAM, and the same memory bus, so it is largely the same card. It does consume considerably more power, about 70 watts more, so there you have it for the Ampere side. That's what it looks like for the comparison across the board of all of most of the upper end Ampere GPUs. Again, from AnandTech, we also have that AMD has actually finally announced its competitor to DLSS from Nvidia. They're calling it FidelityFX Super Resolution. This is an open source method of game upscaling. What upscaling is in a game is basically, say you have a game that you want to play at 4K settings, but the settings are really tanking because you want to play it at the highest quality, right? So say like if you have an Nvidia card, you could have used Nvidia DLSS, which means that instead of rendering the graphics card just at 4K natively, which means that there's no help at all, like you're just rendering it at 4K and the performance is really suffering because of it. You could instead run it through DLSS, which isn't native 4K, it's a way of upscaling it to 4K using some AI trickery on Nvidia's part. But in doing so, you get much more frames and the overall visual quality could look a lot better depending on what game you're playing. AMD has just announced its competitor to that. And unlike Nvidia, whose DLSS only works on Nvidia cards, AMD's FidelityFX Super Resolution will work across the board across AMD and Nvidia GPUs, which I think is a really good argument for them, saying that they originally, I've heard people saying that their eventual goal is to kind of marginalize Nvidia DLSS and say that, okay, FidelityFX is the future because you can use it on any GPU. It's not just Nvidia. You don't have to be Team Nvidia. You can have any GPU you want and it will work on that. Not any GPU. It only works on, I think, for Nvidia Pascal or newer, and I'm not sure about AMD, but I think it should at least work from RDNA 1 and beyond. So I think that's a very good thing. Again, I could be wrong on the AMD side of that, but for Nvidia, I believe it's just Pascal and further. So yeah, that's very exciting. I think this is very good. As you can see, it's been tested in Godfall with a 6800 XT. And natively, you're seeing about 49 FPS at 4K on epic settings in the game with ray tracing turned on. And 49 FPS, that's pretty good. But with FidelityFX, as soon as they put that on ultra quality, you're seeing as much as nearly 30 frames higher, which I think is very impressive. And if you switch all the way up to performance and you want more, say you want as much frames as possible while still being in the 4K setting, you can over triple your FPS in that game on those settings, which I think is very impressive. Nvidia should be worried about DLSS eventually becoming irrelevant because it looks like right out of the gate, FidelityFX is very competitive. And this is AMD's first shot at FidelityFX. With Ampere coming out, Nvidia has just had its second try at DLSS with DLSS 2.0, but it looks like they should be worried now. To prove that this worked with Nvidia cards too, AMD also released images of this running on FidelityFX Super Resolution running on a GTX 1060 from Nvidia. So it works even from a GPU from almost 5 years ago now. So I think that's pretty exciting, especially considering how many 1060s there are still out there. And even on 1440p in a modern game like Godfall, they're able to get it over 30 FPS with their upscaling, which I think is amazing. So I, for one, am pretty excited about that. FidelityFX will become available for use on June 22nd later this month. AMD's keynote was not done with FidelityFX either. They also released their plans for 5000 series Zen 3 APUs instead of CPUs. What APUs are is, think of them as combined CPUs with graphics cards because they are CPUs with integrated graphics. And these are for the desktop, not mobile. So I am pretty excited about that, especially if you're someone who's been looking to build a PC, who has been trying as hard as you can to find a graphics card and you just can't. These look like they're going to be very competitive because AMD has claimed that they support high settings on most games at 1080p. So they are very good starter CPUs and even GPU solutions for anyone just getting to the PC gaming space. They have plans for all these models here, as you see, but the only ones that they're releasing within the next quarter will be on August 5th, and it will be the 8-core 16-thread 5700G and the 6-core 12-thread 5600G, both for $359 and $259 respectively. I, for one, am pretty excited about these because AMD's APUs are kind of underrated in my opinion, and I feel like they should be getting more attention. I'm glad Dr. Lisa Su has been hard at work trying to get these off the ground, especially with how impressive Zen 3 was. I was so excited to see what a great improvement in performance the Zen 3 CPUs had and applying that to APUs, I think we're only gonna see a very big improvement from here. So I'm very excited about those. And lastly, we have AMD putting RDNA 2 mobile GPUs in laptops. And we are finally going to see the day of all Team Red gaming laptops again, which I am pretty excited about. It looks very competitive with anything Nvidia is offering. I don't think you can make a case saying that Nvidia hasn't been dominating the laptop space for the past few years, at least on the GPU side. And AMD is now striking back and striking back hard. And I am very excited to see AMD's new RDNA 2 graphics cards in laptops and see how they will perform in workstations and on games. So yeah, that's pretty much all we have for the PC market news, and I will be trying to land one of these new RTX cards in the coming days. Hopefully that goes well for me. Let me know down in the comments, are you excited about the new RTX cards, or do you think that they're just unnecessary and that Nvidia should be making more of what they already have instead of releasing new things? Personally, that's my opinion, but hey, you gotta take what you can get, right? And let me know if you guys are interested in these new APUs from AMD or the new mobile GPUs from AMD as well, because that looks pretty impressive. And let me know what you guys think about FidelityFX Super Resolution. That looks very impressive, and I can't wait to try it out for myself. So that's it from here, and I will see you at JK Amusements in the next video. Bye bye.